We're going to go back into project management again, and now we're going to get into the planning capabilities of WorkOtter. We have a lot of integration services and built-in capabilities, and we're going to start with those built-in capabilities. So I'm going to show you how to create your own plan using either the Gantt chart, the tabular view, or our Kanban board, so that you can have all of the tools, tips, and tricks you need to be successful right away. Let's go ahead and create a new project together. So under the Projects menu, we'll go New Project, and we'll just call this WorkOtter Plan. I'll go ahead and hit Save and Continue. Now again, I could have used a template which would have created all this for me, but I wanted to show you how to do it yourself. Now, I think it's to your advantage to go ahead and create your team before you make the plan. That way the people that you want to assign within that plan are available to you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the team, and I'll click the little plus, and we'll go ahead and just select a few people and a few generic roles to associate to our project. Okay, now we're going to go over to the plan, and here's the plan task. Now I could add a single task, but I'm going to hit the link here, which brings up this particular planning capability. Okay, so it feels and looks like an Office application, right? You've got your ribbon bar up here. You've got your columns, which you will definitely want to set the way you like because of the row editing capabilities of WorkOtter. And then you're able to show it as a Gantt or as a Kanban. We'll get into that in just a minute. Now in this example, I'm going to create my own plan. I'm not going to use Jira, I'm not going to use Microsoft Project, not going to use Excel. I'd like to create my own plan. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is to do it in line either here or in the Kanban board. I'll do it here. So I'm going to just start creating some things here that you might be interested in. So we'll create task 1. Now I can go ahead and set the dates here. So maybe I'll set this for a week, and maybe I'll set the hours. Now remember, whatever columns you put in the grid are going to be available to you as you quickly enter these things. So it's to your advantage to set these columns up correctly. Now, one of my favorite tips and tricks is to just hit the return key when you're ready to enter the next one. So I'll say that's task 1, and then I'll say task 2, and maybe I'll have this one start on the 20th and go to the 23rd, and maybe this is 24 hours, and maybe the predecessor is the sort ID 1 FS, finish start. If you're not familiar with that nomenclature, you can search on Google. It's a very common nomenclature. SS and FS stand for start to start. FS stands for finish to start, which means that once the first task 1 finishes, the second task 2 can start. And that way the WorkOtter system will keep those two in alignment. And I can kind of rinse and repeat. Now, if I want to go ahead and add one below, remember I've got these little triple lines where I can say add below, and I can do it in line or in a form. Let's do add below form this time. Now the form is going to bring up the detailed modal, where I've got additional things that aren't in the grid. So I'll say task 3, and for this one, let's go ahead and make it start on the 24th, and we'll go through the 27th, and for date and time we'll go ahead and assign maybe 50 hours. I think you get the gist of it. I can go ahead and add assignments here as well, but I might do that in just a minute. Okay, now if you've got things out of order here, you can easily just drag and drop them around, which I've just done. So very easy to realign your plan by dragging and dropping vertically. Now, one of my favorite tips and tricks is to create a summary item, because I'd like to have that nice roll up right in here. Well, how do I do that? Now that I've forgotten to do that. So I'm going to say add before inline, and we'll call it summary. Now, I don't care about the start date, end date, and hours, because those will be inherited from the children, as you'll see here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and save that. And then what we want to do is I'm going to expand this little hourglass, and we'll select all, and I'll unselect the summary, and I want to indent the 3 children. So now the summary is the parent, and it's rolling up the dates and hours. So it's a great way to kind of keep that hierarchy nice and clean within WorkOtter. Now sometimes you just want to crank a bunch of stuff in really quickly, and you can do that as well. So I could say add after in line, and maybe we'll call this sub 1, sub 2, sub 3. You can see where this is going. As quick as you can type, you can get your stuff in here. Okay, and just like before, you want to indent those, go ahead and indent them. Another one of my favorite little tricks and tips that many people miss out on who don't watch the videos is the multi-edit capability. Now I've selected all of these, and I've got a couple different ways I can now edit these. I can go to multi-edit, and this gives me a list of all of the things that I can change easily within WorkOtter. Okay, so maybe I want to add a location to each of these, and maybe I want to associate them to a phase, right? And maybe I want to set the planned hours for all of these together, or the start and end date. You can see how powerful this could be. So I'm going to put these all in where I want them, save it, and voila, you can see that's all been done. Okay. Another popular thing to do is once you have them in here, just click. I can make my edits directly, right? I could say this task's in red. Another really popular thing to do is to go ahead and have milestones or deliverables or other work types, right? So maybe this last one, I want to change it to a milestone. Now, a milestone, be aware, we don't have assignments to milestones. It's just a date, and you've either met that date or you haven't. So notice how the plan start just disappeared and the hours disappeared, because now it's just going to be a milestone for us. Okay? So these are all planning techniques that you can master within WorkOtter. Now, if you want to go show this as a Gantt chart, of course we allow that as well. So notice here we've got a Gantt chart. It's showing dependencies and critical path, and you can do all sorts of really interesting edits here. So I can click on this task 2, click on the little circle, and watch this. I'm going to drag it to task 3. Okay, hit the little checkbox, and notice how that now creates a dependency between them. And I could keep doing that, right? It's just a very visual way to create these dependencies between tasks. If you click on task 1, notice how if I move task 1 out now by clicking the top of the task and dragging out, that'll move tasks 2 and 3 as well as the subs. Okay? Because the subs are underneath. What if I want to adjust the percentage complete in the Gantt? I can do that as well. That's this little bar here. Or what if I want to extend the dates of the task, leaving the start date alone? Instead of moving both the start and end date together, can I do that? Yes. And notice how it adjusts the plan. What if I don't have time? I've got maybe a big plan here and I need to move the entire plan collectively. I can just literally drag and drop the plan. Okay? Couple more things. Now if you click on a task, that gets that modal view, and I can assign one team member or all team members very quickly to a task. So if I want to assign one at a time, I can click here, and I can either assign the person like Jim, and then it shows me which roles Jim's playing on this project, so maybe he's doing this as a resource manager, or I can just assign a generic role and say, look, someone in the security specialist group is going to be working on this. Notice how it inherits the dates. Now you can change these dates. You can make them a subset of the parent if you wish to. You can also provide details, attach documents, leave comments, all of the neat things that WorkOtter allows right out of the box. Okay? Notice how when the assignments now are made, you can see those are here represented in WorkOtter. Now, you're never painted into a corner. If I want to leave this all as is where is, I can also go work on this as a Kanban. So notice these are the children from the other Gantt chart, and everything is in the to-do because everything's less than 100% complete. You can still always click on these if you want to bring up the modal. And then notice how you can add columns to create your own workflow for this project. So maybe there's a quality assurance step, maybe there's a testing step, maybe there's an approval. You can see you can make these as fast as you can type, or I'll just say prod. Now once you have your columns, they might not be in the order you wish. So notice how easy it is to drag and drop these, and then these become like your sticky notes, right, where you can quickly drag them through the process. You can also rack and stack these, so it has they have their own custom order within these columns. Now if I head back to the grid or the Gantt view, I'll go back to the grid because I want to show something real quick. Notice how the workflow has been filled in correctly. So these are some of the interesting capabilities within WorkOtter. A couple more things before we go. I like the multi-edit, but there's one more way you can do assignments. I can multi-edit assignments as well. So I can click all of these children. Remember, we can't assign to milestones. I can click on assignments, and I can quickly add or remove people. So I could say I'm going to add Jim, Robert, and Rob, and give them 8 hours each to all of those tasks. And so they'll be now assigned. I can also do the opposite, where I come back in and say assignments. We're going to go ahead and remove Rob from all of them, and we're going to go ahead and add at the same time a generic role for that security specialist. So you can see there's quite a few different ways you can use that tool to your advantage. There's other tools and techniques in here too that we hope you explore and enjoy, like the baselining feature. But I think you've gotten some of the basics of WorkOtter that you can now deploy to your advantage.